Hey guys, hope you're well. John here. So I thought I'd put together a little 5-day experience of behind the scenes where I sort of break down how I got into music, where I am now, and more. So day one is to do with how I got into music and why I got into music. So I started when I was 5 on the piano, and my nan and my aunt at the time thought I had time and rhythm, so they plonked me on a chair in front of the piano. I had no idea what I was doing, and then they gave me some lessons with a piano teacher, and I found that piano teacher a bit too disciplined for, you know, especially for a 5-year-old, and knowing my 5-year-old boy, he has tons of energy, so it wasn't really the best approach, but it was a great way to get into music. And at the time, my brother and I are going through a rocky beginning, so my nan and my aunt took us in, so we had to channel that energy somehow. And then over the next couple of years I did piano, and it wasn't until I was 8 on Christmas my nan bought me my first guitar, which was a 3/4 nylon guitar. Now this thing ended up beaten, it got stickers all over it, it was cracked. I took it to school and it was by my side the whole time. It was like the equivalent of a blanket or a teddy bear for a little child, and it was just my way of being able to transition in this crazy world. And I didn't really know how to play the thing. I had a few tutors teach me chords, bits and bobs, a few books and things, but I think my nan had no idea that it was going to take over my life as much as it did, and it's been the most incredible tool, instrument you know, for me to carry on throughout my life. And so for the next few years I started playing guitar, bits and bobs as much as I can, learning basic chords. And it wasn't until my guitar tutor, called Kev Porter on the Isle of Wight, he taught me through the method of having love and passion for your instrument, whereas, you know, some players go down the route, or some teachers go down the route of discipline and technique and theory from day one, which is okay, but you need to fall in love with your instrument, and once you do that, everything comes along organically, you know, technique, theory and more. So with this approach, he was asking me what my favorite songs were, learning my favorite songs, using this process, and I use this in the same way now as a teacher. So with that, I think it was around my 15th or 16th birthday, he organised a trip with all his guitar pupils up to London, to Shepherd's Bush, and I grew up on the Isle of Wight, a small island, to go and watch Joe Satriani, a virtuosic electric guitar player from the 80s, and it was incredible. I came out of that concert just completely inspired, and then from there I could not put down the guitar. And so yeah, I bought all of Joe Satriani's albums, then went to study music at Isle of Wight College. From there I jumped over the water to the south of England in Southampton, where I went to university, studied music there, met my wife there, and that's where I came, you know, I had a few challenges along the way, as all musicians do, and I'm going to chat about that tomorrow. But I found it's just really a fundamental process as a musician, going through college and university, finding myself. And it wasn't until I discovered fingerstyle accidentally, which I'll go into tomorrow, that I really found my sound. I really found myself, my identity, and ever since then I haven't looked back and been able to produce the albums and more. So it's really kind of, every musician has their own different journey. They have their own way of going into music more. But I think the hardest point, especially, you know, not later in your career, but when you start having children and you go into family and things as well, that's where the real world stuff starts kicking in. Can you make a living out of it? Can you do these things? And I was told I couldn't, so I persevered, and I'm still working as hard as I can every single day to make that dream a reality. So yeah, that's kind of like an insight into how I started, how I got into it. The biography on my website doesn't really give that breakdown. So yeah, I thought I'd give you this sort of little insight. Tomorrow I'll go through some of the crazy challenges that I've gone through, like all musicians or anybody in their career, to get to what they're doing now. And then it will progress throughout the week. So thanks so much for watching, thanks so much for your support, and tune in tomorrow, and I'll see you then. Cheers, take care.